dear colleagues from across the university, dear friends and family of the late Dr. Edward Nanbigne and the Institute of African Studies, I stand here on behalf of the entire institute to wish you a warm, though somber welcome. We are gathered here formally to grieve and remember our dear colleague, our friend, comrade, confidant, husband, father, brother, and son, Dr. Edward Nanbigne, who was a senior research fellow and head of the Philosophy and Religion section of the Institute until he passed. He meant so much to us, and his devastating loss has disturbed us in more ways than we can explain. This has been compounded by other equally painful losses we have suffered since his passing, and we are all in various states of pain and disarray. Tonight, we want to focus on Dr. Edward Nanbigne. We are both mourning his untimely departure and celebrating his life. We mourn the books and articles he will not produce, while rejoicing that we have that which he produced. We mourn that we will no longer hear his voice or his stories or get a foretaste of his provocative research topics. But we celebrate and will cherish forever the stories we have already heard. Although he was taken from us too young and at a time when he was showing renewed vigor in dreaming up and seeking funds for new research projects, we are comforted by the opportunity to complete the research that he started and to complete it in ways that do justice to his legacy of cutting-edge and important research. We also commemorate him in recognition that he has become an ancestor of our institute, and a very special one at that. Not because of the sudden manner of his departure, but because of the various ways in which he touched lives at the institute. We are truly grateful that you have joined us this evening here at the ancestral home of the institute, where Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah delivered his Africa Genius speech, which setting us a visionary agenda for the decolonization of African studies. We believe that this is the best place for us to come to commemorate Dr. Nanbigne's life and his contributions, which have sought to fulfill this agenda. The neighborliness and solidarity you have shown by coming is the African way, and it is also the way of humanity. And we are comforted by how your presence demonstrates its continuing strength and relevance to our lives. As an African proverb goes, rain does not fall on one roof alone. I wish you all a good evening. May you leave here comforted a little. May you experience the beginning of a process of healing, and may this help all of us to begin the long journey towards the light, to a place where we can remember Dr. Edward Nanbigne and smile and laugh at his powerful stories and feel only gratitude and some nostalgia. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Director. So at this point, we'll call on the GBE once again, but there's going to be a solo performance at the Gary from outside of us with mourn and celebrate our friend, the son of man, Dr. Edward.
Good evening, everyone here in Asambo. The instrument before me is a clear indication that indeed we are symbolically in the land of the birth of Dr. Nanbigne. And in the Dagari land, when a soul is lost, definitely you will hear the sound of a xylophone in the form of dirges to pay the last respect. So you are going to hear something like that this evening. And while playing the xylophone in the form of dirges, we're supposed to sing along. But if you don't see that, don't worry. We'll fill out the gaps when we get to the Sankara.
you very much, Ghana Dance Ensemble. I know you are torn between clapping for this very somber performance, but please let's give them a round of applause. Next on the program is the tributes, and like director earlier mentioned, Dr. Nanbigne has now become an ancestor, and I'm sure by the time you are through with these tributes, you understand why he qualifies to be one. We'll now call on the director of the Institute, Professor George Chikata, to give us the tribute from the Institute.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adote. So this is the tribute to Dr. Edward Nanbigne by the Institute of African Studies. Dr. Edward Nanbigne, or Eddie to many of us, came to the Institute of African Studies as an MA MPhil student in the year 1999. After successfully attaining his MPhil, he joined the Language, Literature and Drama section of the Institute as a research fellow in 2003. Continuing his studies as a PhD student, he won a scholarship from the Nufu Cultures of Survival and Care in Ghana project, under which he delved into gender, care, and migration. He attained his doctorate degree in 2008. Dr. Nanbigne taught 12 different courses over the past 18 years in our undergraduate MA, MPhil, and PhD programs. He also consistently contributed to making the study abroad programs hosted at the Institute, such as the Calvin Semester Abroad program, a resounding success. Research. The Institute takes a multidisciplinary approach to its scholarly endeavors, and Dr. Nanbigne's research interests are a true reflection of this approach. He embarked on research in his main area of focus, language and literature, opening up new perspectives on the nature and function of oral literature in his own Dagari culture. He also looked at the verbal arts culture of peoples such as the Asante, the Yoruba, and the Dagomba. He elucidated storytelling, slave narratives, and praise poetry. He also conducted research into adolescent reproductive health, aging, care, protocols of drinking cultures, biographies, and migration. Edward Nanbigne was a great collaborator. He was very much involved in shaping and coordinating two of our current research projects. These are the Oral Traditions and Expressive Diversity projects funded by the Andy Mellon Foundation and the Ghana Gas Project, investigating the cultural and socioeconomic life of the Sekondi Sakradi metropolis and the Triabo gas enclave in the western region of Ghana. We owe the latter project to the sole efforts of Dr. Edward Nanbigne. Both projects have boosted the research outputs of several research fellows and support staff. In terms of administrative positions, he held the position of coordinator of the Language, Literature and Drama section from 2012 to 2018. And in August 2020, he was appointed coordinator of the Religions and Philosophy section of the Institute. He was also coordinator of the Graduate Studies program for many years. In this capacity, he gained an intimate knowledge of the challenges facing students and assisted those in need to successfully navigate the terrain of postgraduate studies. Equally significant was his service on the Institute's boards and committees. They include the Publications Committee, the Graduate Studies Committee, the Academic Resources Committee, and the editorial board of our flagship journal, the Contemporary Journal of African Studies. In addition, he served as our representative on the Faculty of Arts and academic boards. The Institute of African Studies has over the years hosted scholarly gatherings which brought scholars from all over the world to Ghana. During his 18 years of service, Dr. Nanbigne served on the organizing committee of some of these, a notable one being the 17th Triennial Symposium of the Akasa, held for the first time in Africa in 2017. We will always be grateful to Dr. Nanbigne for his remarkable contributions to the Institute and the creative ways in which he modeled his commitments to its growth. We confidently share in the endorsement by scholars at home and abroad of his contributions to intellectual discourse about African life and the place of creativity within it. These endorsements have contributed to the ambition of the Institute to be a center for knowledge creation about Africa by Africans. He was a strong pillar of the IAS, consistently supporting the development and sustainability of our programs and administrative structures, not in merely performing a duty, but consistently going beyond the call of duty. This he did by accepting to work on committees and task forces, as well as taking up solo assignments. We must recall how in 2014-2015, he undertook at remarkable and considerable personal cost the onerous task of coordinating and writing up the documentation for the application to the National Accreditation Board to get the Institute's courses re-accredited. Edward Nanbigne combined his commitment to duty with his presence. He had strong opinions and keen observation, which he expressed robustly and defended during debates and conversations, which inevitably characterized the committee and collegial system by which business is done in our institution. While we knew where he stood on critical issues, his loyalty and commitment to the Institute were never ever in doubt. Dr. Nanbigne, or Eddie, was an empathetic listener who gave meaningful support and wise counsel to colleagues, students, and staff in various quiet ways. This was especially significant because we knew that he had considerable obligations to family and community outside the institute. But what leaves a lump in our throats is the hollowness created by the absence of a personality who lit up our institute. His voice resonated in our corridors, the senior common room, and the car park. He was known for the stories that he told and the friendly banter that he often raised in an atmosphere suffused with the aroma of coffee that he brewed so expertly. We can honestly say that Dr. Edward Nanbigne recognized in admirable terms the institution which nurtured his intellectual career by making palpable sacrifices for its growth. He also made lifelong friends, and we believe that he thoroughly enjoyed being a member of the Institute of African Studies family. Edward Nanbigne, you are an exemplary colleague, and we are privileged to have counted you among us. We remain inspired. Rest well, our dear and esteemed colleague, brother, friend, and mentor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Gotti. And next, we have a tribute from the section Religions and Philosophy, where he was the head before his timely demise. Please, Dr. Chikamba, if you are here, can you please? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Adefe. Greetings to everyone here present. Dr. Edward Nanbigne was a very amazing person, both as a colleague and as a friend. It's still very difficult to have to speak of Eddie in the past tense, because Eddie is one of those kinds of human beings that once you came in contact with them, you can't imagine their absence. You can't imagine Eddie's absence. It doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. Like I'm trying to imply that there are some people like that. Once you meet them, they become very much part of reality, of your life. It has that kind of presence, that kind of impact. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me to have to say Eddie was. But that's the reality I believe that colleagues and friends and family members now have to struggle to accept. I say struggle to accept because I'm also struggling to accept that. So, from the very moment I joined the institute, long before he became the head of, or the coordinator of research at the philosophy and religion section where I belong, he was that go-to guy, that person you know that if you have an issue, if you have something that has to do with the memory, like institutional memory of the institute, if you have that naughty challenge, you know you could speak to him. And that's what I, in person, in particular, and then my colleagues in the religious and philosophy section, then enjoyed during the brief stint when he was the head of our unit. So we knew that if there are administrative issues to sort out, once it is aware, you don't need to go to his office many times. In fact, one of the things, part of the things I constantly miss about him is this large frame, relaxed in the office, the smile on his face. I mean, I'm speaking about my office because then if there is your own issue that you need to sort out, it is at your office to get it sorted. It doesn't need further invitation. These are the kinds of, this is the kind of relationship that I and my colleagues at the Religions and Philosophy section enjoyed under Dr. Nanbigne. So we miss Edi, and wherever you are, Edi, we will continue to miss you. We have you in our hearts. And like I said, it is punishing to have to talk, to think, or write about you in the past tense. You remain in our hearts, Edi. Thank you, Dr. Lutu.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chikamba. Please, we now have the provost of the College of Humanities with us, and it's been very gracious to be part of this evening's program. So please call on him to give us a statement from the college. Please, let's welcome Professor.
Usually, when you attend certain events, you like to begin by saying how very pleased you are to be here. But I don't know whether it's really appropriate to say that I'm pleased to be here. It's a very, it's not something to be pleased about. I think that's what I want to say. But at the same time, I'm also, in a way, pleased to be able to come here on my own behalf and on behalf of the college to mourn with the institutes and also to express our condolences and our sympathies to friends and families and colleagues. I am from the business school, so I did not have any personal interactions with Dr. Edward Nanbigne, Eddie. But I have two things that I would like to say based on two interactions that I had with him. In the early 2000s, the then director, Professor Akutu Admakwampofo, approached me and said that the institute was going to have a strategic retreat at Siba at Ekuri. So could I come and facilitate it for them? So I went along. And then the first session, morning session, I explained what had to be done, why we are here, we're going to produce a strategic document for the institute, and so on and so forth. And some of the members told me in very plain language that this is not a business school, I shouldn't come and do things like that. But they always suspected I was going to quote unquote, kill them and their fears have been realized. But I noticed that at the time, he didn't say anything, he just looked at me. And then we broke into working groups, and I remember that he headed one of the groups, they did their work, and then they presented their work. So I am familiar with his professionalism. And the second time I visited the institute in my capacity as provost, I met all of the academic staff, so we all sat at the table, and then there he was just looking at you. You know, he had that thing, he could stare at you and you know that he has your number. So I just sat there and I just also watched him. So those are my two recollections. But reading, what has been written and also hearing some of the things that have been said, it leaves one in no doubt at all that he was a complete academic. Teaching, research, administrative roles, course revisions, accreditation, he did everything and more. But beyond that, you also get the sense that he is a deeply admired and revered colleague because he did more than that. Course advisor to students, a friend, a mentor. So clearly, he was not, as the expression goes, he was not a cog in a wheel, like somebody who doesn't matter. He touched many, many, many people in many, many different ways. And I, for one, am pleased to be able to say these words in his memory. Fare thee well, Eddie.
Thank you, Professor Daniel Porphyry, for the very kind words about the son of man. Now we'll call on the head of his mother section, that is the literature grammar, a language section, Dr. Wadeli Kambon, to give us to.
Zimani. That is good evening in Dagai. Dr. Nanbigne was one of the first people at the Institute that I met. And at that time, he was the head of section for language, literature, and drama. And I remember it was a meeting in the senior common room, now the Prof. Irene Odote senior common room. And it was with him and Dr. Mercy Alkofiansa. And they were going back and forth saying, no, you are the coordinator, you're the head of section. No, you're the head of section. No, I think it's you, I think it's you. And me as a young student, I was very confused. But I came to see that was part of Dr. Nanbigne's playful demeanor. I found that he always had an affable personality, a true lover of oral literature in his personal and professional life. He was always sharing stories that were too amazing to believe, eliciting my perennial question, is this a real story or a Nanbigne story? With his cup of coffee in hand, it was rare to see him without a smile and an easygoing demeanor as he cruised around through the halls of IIS. He was someone who always went the extra mile as graduate coordinator, always going to bat for deserving students to see them through to the successful completion of their course. At that time, as a trio of what we call night watchmen who would stay at work until 11 p.m. or midnight sometimes, we would speak of a project with Dr. Nidote that we never got around to doing. It was a literary comparison of the tale of the shipwrecked sailor from classical Kemet, the lost fisherman of contemporary Ghana, and Song of a Goat of contemporary Nigeria. For us, it always seemed like we would have more time and that we would get around to it. Unfortunately, it was not to be. The night watchman's flashlight has dimmed too soon. These are just a few of the memories that I have of Dr. Nanbigne that will make him truly missed in the hallowed halls of IAS. As a fixture at IAS for 2 decades, his presence will be felt directly or indirectly by means of the lives that he has enriched in the institution upon which he had so great an impact. Son of mine, night watchman, Dr. Nanbigne, you will truly be missed. It's a little
Thank you very much, Dr. Obadele Campbell. Now we'll call on IAS students, but the person who's going to speak on behalf of them is now a fellow of the institute, Dr. Eje.
Thank you, Dr. Abiti. Good evening. So I would read 2 tributes, one from one of the students, one from myself, and then a general one on behalf of all the students. So the first one is from Dr. Philip Hayab John, who is in Abuja, Nigeria. And he says, Dr. Nanbigne was the minor supervisor of the master's thesis I acquired at the Institute of African Studies, University of Ghana, and was to the best of my knowledge an incredible academic and compatriot. As I bid him farewell, I recall him organizing the luncheon at his house when his doctorate report came in 2010, ensuring that I was part of the celebration. As a research fellow, Dr. Nanbigne collaborated wholly with Prof. A.C. Sutherland Adi to support students in any way he could. I won't forget Eddie, as we fondly called him, essentially handled the binding and submission of my thesis after correction in February 2011, since I had to leave Accra hastily for a task in Nigeria. He will undoubtedly be greatly missed. Adieu, Eddie. The next one is by me. I met Dr. Nanbigne as a student in 2012, and at that time we were only 2 literature students in the class, so there was no room for any of us to hide. And he ensured that we did our readings and our assignments, and unfortunately for me, because he knew my father, if I didn't do my readings or my assignments, it would get to him. So I was under double supervision when I got to his class. But what I realized then was that he was a father figure. As much as he would ensure you do what has to be done, he would also advise you, encourage you, motivate you. And when it got to the thesis, he was the second supervisor for both me and my colleague, who is now at UCC. And when we were done, he sat down with both of us and edited the entire thesis. It took him 2 days to do that. So he would sit down with you the whole day just editing the thesis. And what we realized was that he had a deep love for reading and for telling stories. And no matter what area we would take him into, he would be able to contribute to the reading. Each time I walk through the corridors and I see him with Dr. Osman and Dr. Nidote having their conversations, sometimes they would catch you there and they would advise you about life, about marriage. And now I find it difficult. I've been to Dr. Nidote's office twice. I find it difficult going to that area because each time I step there, I remember the kind of conversations we used to have there. And I don't know what to say right now. He pushed me to present my first conference paper, and when I joined IAS, he encouraged me to start writing papers. Just last year, he pushed me to apply for the PhD fellowship, and we wrote the recommendation letter. The results are not yet in yet. He pushed me to write a number of papers, and I've written some of them yet to submit. And today he's not around for me to tell him that those papers he pushed me to write have been written and they have gone out. He will not be around for me to tell him these papers have been published. All I would like to say now is that Dr. Nanbigne rest well in the bosom of our Lord till we meet again. You have served your generation and the next generation. Rest you well. The last one is by students. As his former students, when we heard the news of Dr. Edward Nanbigne's passing, some wondered if it was true. How could a man of many words go silent? How could a man of many stories lose all his stories? Where do we start? Most of us met him for the first time when we came to the Institute of African Studies. Not only was he our teacher, but also a friend. He would follow up on your thesis progress, and in many cases follow up with graduate school when the thesis results delayed. We recount days when he would walk in the scorching sun to graduate school and back in order to follow up on thesis. We also recount the many times he would sponsor the printing and binding of a financially handicapped student's thesis from his own pocket. The many times he would print students' thesis with his own printer and toner and bind for the students. No matter how busy he was, he would welcome us with a smile and make time for us. He was a breath of fresh air during the stresses of students' life. He would often talk about having to publish papers in order to get his promotion. However, no matter how much he loved his work, how kind he was to us as his students, the energy he put into his work, and the words he masterfully and artistically used, he touched each of our hearts in a special way that we can never ever accurately or fully explain with the mere tools of the language that he tirelessly taught us. He took our words along, and we are yet to regain them. For now, we sigh and mourn. Fare thee well, Dr. Nanbigne. Rest well in the bosom of your Maker. Thank you.
For those very nice tributes from students. And I'm sure they speak volume of the impact that Dr. Nanbigne made on the students. We now have the Ghana Times of Trouble to give us.
I'm a manager for yeah, you know. I say my virtue, and it has so called and Chimame Daniel. If you are on Twitter, when you got your body, oh, one day, what do you do when I said, we yes, and I be, and you know why I'm just here, the father's son of a and that's what I'm saying. Super, and from my fat wonder, and now clearly the money of my society.
Sister Basilia Nanbigne will do that on behalf of the family. Thank you very much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Basilia Nanbigne Eduusu, a younger sister of Dr. Edward Nanbigne. I'm here with his older children, Leslie and Marilyn Nanbigne, and his brother-in-law, Gabriel Eduusu. We also have some uncles here, Dr. Salia and Prof. Salia and Prof. Sorry, are here with us as well. Thank you. As his family, we've always known Dr. Nanbigne for his passion for his research. That is apart from his love for his hockey, his coffee, and his reggae music. And he was always a great company to have. And he really did have stories to share always. Anytime you met him in a group, you could find the whole group glued to him because he was the one sharing a story. And whenever we met at home, all our kids would group around him to hear stories. So he was indeed a storyteller. And he had so much passion sharing stories from his research and his personal experiences. We were always very careful to speak around him because if you spoke unscholarly, in quotes, as he would say, he would tell you to speak like a scholar. So you always have to be very careful choosing your words when he was around. Dr. Nanbigne, as an academic and a scholar, inspired us so much and challenged us to excel and strive to achieve better than we had attained, we have all attained. He actually sets new challenges for us every time we achieved one goal. And he looked forward to seeing us accomplishing the doctorate degree to add more doctors in the family. He was also a tutor and he helped us in achieving most of our academic feats. Anytime one complained about being tired of studies or work, he would say, and I quote, there is more sleep after death, and so you should work harder. And we think that he actually applied the same slogan to himself because he worked so hard and he hardly rested. Even when he was ill, he was still thinking about work. Despite his workload, we know that he never relented in giving help to anybody who wanted support to review one paper or another, or even our own work. He will always lend a helping hand. As his family, we were very much aware that one of his many challenges was the workload in the institute. But then he never complained because he enjoyed doing it. Nevertheless, we feel that most of his work, or the many works he did, could have earned him extra compensation or accounted for many other promotions for him if it was available. For the amount of work he did and the projects he worked for, he always spoke with so much passion and pride about it. And so we felt that he could even be a prof because of most of the work he did. In actual fact, some family members even called him prof because they thought he did so much and he should be a professor. It is our hope that as scholars work so much, the university will really appreciate them and give them the glory they deserve so that they can flourish in it before they pass on. We are very happy to hear the institute say that they will continue with most of the work that he did and could not finish. We are very grateful for that. As the family misses him because of the way he touched us, we know that he has touched many other people and we will all really miss him, but he will really remain in our hearts forever. Fare thee well, our brother, father, husband, and friend. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The Nanbigne family, we are honored to have you with us tonight. Dr. Nanbigne, as our director indicated, was a man of many parts. And for many years, he was the sports tutor of the Krakow War. So we have members of the board here to give us skill. That will be followed by the hockey team he played for. That is the Citizens Hockey Team. Thank you very much.
Good evening to you all. Yes, indeed, Eddie was a man of many talents. And standing here on behalf of the Krakow, we will talk about one of the talents that made him so cherished in the Krakow. And I would like to personalize this thing because when I was a hall master of the Krakow Hall, Eddie was appointed the sports tutor of the Krakow Hall. And together we've been sportsmen for a very long time. And so we got our acts together and did what we knew best. Well, he specialized in hockey. He was also a black belt. He was also a good volleyball player. And I specialized in basketball. And I also did some cross country. So we got our sportsmen and women together and worked. And I'll tell you, if you get round to the Crawford Hall and go into the master's office, you'll see virtually all the trophies that were out there to be won in that office. We swept virtually everything to the chagrin of Commonwealth Hall and the other halls. And the records are there. For 5 years, the Crawford Hall emerged as the best hall in sports, both men and women. And he worked assiduously, and when it got to the turn of hall administrators, there was a trophy that was instituted for the best hall master in sports. And while the students swept the trophies overall for 5 years, the Crawford Hall Master emerged the overall best hall master in sports for 4 years. Within this short period of time, we were able to accomplish all this. And the hall is so grateful for such a talent. And we are so sorrowful that he's had to depart so prematurely. We doff our hat to him, and we console the family, and would like to inform you that our hearts are with you. And after this, we will talk and see what we can do to let everybody know what he has done for the hall. So we will do this. We are grateful for this opportunity to tell our small story about Dr. Edward Nanbigne. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Institute of African Studies, for this invite. And we hope it's not going to be the last time that you invite us to join in your activities. Before I render this eulogy for our departed brother, I'd like to acknowledge a few of our members who are here. We have Dr. K.B. Asante, who is the CEO of Ghana Gas Company, who was the immediate past chairman of the Citizens International Hockey Club, and now the president of the Ghana Hockey Association. We also have Colonel Richard Ama, and we also have Mr. Sapam Menu, an international development consultant. We have Mr. Kwame Owusu, who is a task consultant and the current chairman of the Kofi Annan ICT Institute. We also have Dr. Ninoy Ashon, who is a former Deputy Minister of State. And we've also been joined by other members of other clubs. And just be reminded that Prof. A.B., who used to be at UDS, is also here. We also have Dr. Baita, who is at the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research here, and the current chairman of the Citizens Hockey Club, Mr. Samuel Ofosu, who is on my right, and he is the head of the department at the complaints department. Thank you very much for having us here. Captain of Israel's host and God, of all who seek the land above, be thy shadowy abide the clouds of thy protecting land. Our strength, thy grace, our rule, thy word, our end, the glory of the Lord. Our strength, thy grace, our rule, thy word, our end, the glory of the Lord. The painful, unexpected, pathetic, and traumatizing announcement at dawn on that fateful day was preceded by this hymn. It was supposed to soothe our pain, but that was for just a moment. The usual calm, cool, and collectedness of our fraternity had been shattered by the storm of Eddie's passing. Written and voice messages and videos of colleagues in tears flooded our social media platform for the rest of that day and indeed throughout the whole week. They were overwhelming expressions of shock, grief, and anguish, among others. Messages such as, I am devastated and can't think far. And all I have to say, it is well, Eddie. May your gentle soul rest in the bosom of the Most High God. We will forever miss you, Eddie. What a blow. What a shock. What a calamity. What incredulity. Eddie gone forever? Never to be seen again? May your soul rest in perfect peace. My deepest sympathies to the wife and children and the entire bereaved family. What? I'm just so sad. I'm lost for words. Someone else said, so difficult and hard to contend with. It looks and sounds like a fleeting dream. We will surely miss you. May the good Lord grant you eternal rest. It is really a difficult situation we have to cope with. However, I will urge all of us to be strong and stand firm in this trying moment. It is well, because strengthen us all. We have been friends with Eddie and teammates for over 30 years, and we're privileged to have shared in his progressive and outstanding academic and family building blocks achievements. He was the good and reliable teammate who bent backwards to lend a helping hand when needed. He was a confidant who unpretentiously offered advice and support in diverse ways. He was always available for every, and I say at every event, and never made excuses to be absent unless he was out of the country or out of Accra. Eddie always lighted up our conversations with his loud laughter and apt remarks. He was the club's wordsmith and was quick to correct bad spoken English and offered synonyms that better described expressions during our weekly formal and informal meetings. He gave opportunities and assistance to the younger generations in our club to pursue academic excellence, and also our knowledgeable colleagues to share their career experiences with his students. That was remarkable. Eddie was a club secretary for many years, and his term of office seemed to have lasted forever. Indeed, it did, as his eminent presence became the benchmark to measure the performance of others. He unanimously claimed the informal position of chief prosecutor at our meetings. He would prefer cases for trial on deviant behavior, and Eddie would often bamboozle the accused with statements that he often had to explain in plain English. There will not be another Eddie with citizens. Eddie was selfless and a devoted member of our club. And we believe that reflects the greatness of our club. Eddie's life leaves behind footprints on the sands of time and in the annals of our club history. And his legacy reminds us that we can also make our lives just as sublime and impactful as his. Eddie also extended his lecture room to the hockey pitch, always sharing an opinion and passing witty remarks at the least opportunity, making us believe that excellence is never an accident and that it is always the result of high intention, sincere efforts, and intelligent executions. He often pointed out that acquiring knowledge represents the wise choice of many alternatives, and that a choice, not chance, determines one's destiny. Eddie was always quick to reprimand and admonish the younger members of the club that educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all, and encourage them to passionately take up responsibilities in the club's affairs. Eddie proved many times over that happiness is a quality of the soul and not a function of one's material circumstances nor relationships that go sour. There was never a dull moment with him. He sometimes fumed with anger when the younger teammates tended to play out the older ones. What I mean by that, they wouldn't pass us the ball because they think that we are too slow and will mess the team up. You know what they did there? He will be quick to quote Aristotle to support his anger. He would say, anybody can become angry. That is easy. But to be angry with the right person and to the right degree and at the right time and for the right purpose and in the right way, that is not within everybody's power. It is not easy. That was our brother for you. It is sometimes intimidating to be with knowledgeable and lettered minds like Eddie. But it wasn't so with our friend and colleague. Eddie taught us wise men think. But Eddie talked like simple people do. On hindsight, Eddie's life had been exemplary to us, his peers and his mentees. His love for his roots was exceptional. And he talked often about the caves and historic heritage of the people of Sankana and Sansanda, which earned him the nickname Sansanda, that we all bellowed anytime he whacked the hockey ball in his typical fierce manner. Almost 3 years ago, many of us didn't need any coaxing to join him bury his famous dad, the old soldier we called him, who also became a father figure for some of us. His family has now become part of the larger Citizens International family and will therefore relate to the place of his birth, where he will be laid to rest as a significant landmark of our club. Eddie played with us barely 14 days before his demise. And he scored an amazing goal, which was described by many as his best ever. This seemed to have been the memory of his greatness he wished to leave with us. Eddie Howe wished you would have lived longer for us to enjoy your captivating company some more. More importantly, achieve your cherished dream of reconsidering your calling into priesthood and retiring performing pastoral duties as discussed during your 60th birthday just last December, month before you passed. Undoubtedly, friends, God's ways are not our ways. And he has answered God's call to eternal and a higher calling. Death, having lost its sting, When our Lord and Savior Christ Jesus resurrected and promised an eternal life for all who believe in him, Eddie, your belief in God, his Son, and the Holy Spirit has earned you a resting place in their presence. Eddie, rest peacefully in the bosom of your Maker till we meet again. Adieu, bro. Adieu, teammates. Adieu, Sansander. Adieu. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Kanen Pari and the Kwafo Hall, and also Citizens Hockey Club. Indeed, there'll never be another Eddie. We'll now call on his friends to also, as a tribute. Professor Austin Lee. Next will be Dr. Fiat.
Good evening. Tribute to a very good friend, Dr. Edward Nanbigne. This tribute is taken from a book project I was doing titled 90 Days in Grahamstown, South Africa. And I devoted a chapter to my meeting Edward and the time we had together. We are hoping that someday we are going to do a book presentation on this, but today is gone. And for us to read from a chapter in that book as a tribute to him. It was one bright Sunday afternoon in February 2012 in Grahamstown, South Africa. Karen, the Faculty of Humanities officer, knocked the door of my apartment and I opened. And she said, "Austin, meet Edward. Edward, meet Austin. It's going to be a flat meet." Edward was shown his room, take around the facilities in the house, and then Karen left me with a stranger. He was from Ghana and I from Nigeria. Both of us were fellows of the African Humanities Program. My area of research was in music and his oral literature. Both of us were in our early 50s. We both left our families behind in our countries, and many times we shared problems and issues from our spouses and children back home. I remember once he was helping the wife to start a generator in Accra while we were in Grahamstown, South Africa. We also had similar experiences in many areas of life. Edward was to stay 60 days and myself 90 days. And so the journey with the stranger began. Edward has hardly settled down when he said to me, "Have you been cooking?" And I said, "No." "Oh, we must cook." "Okay, let's go to the mall and shop." Using a typical Ghanaian answer, he said, "Let's go get some vegetables and cereals and other things." Quickly, he drew a list, took some money, and off we went by foot to Pick and Pay at the Pepper Grove Mall. He was used to shopping malls. I was used to open markets. He brought Gary and Sheto from Ghana. While I was familiar with Gary, Sheto was new to me. The Ghanaian sense of vegetables was also different from the Nigerian sense. So there was so much to learn. Edwards was very knowledgeable and widely traveled. His PhD program was shared between the University of Ghana and the University of Bergen, Norway. He had been in the US and many other places abroad. He knew so much, he could speak on almost every possible topic you raise, from literature to language to philosophy, anthropology, African studies, history, gender studies, music, sports, and so on and so forth. He was also a sportsman, like you just heard. And everywhere he went in South Africa, I told him, "Oh, I'm a good sportsman, I play hockey." On his mobile device, he had a huge library collection of a range of subjects. And each time he spoke, I admired him, though sometimes he was a bit of a talkative. Of course, what do you expect from someone who has so much on the inside? In the short period we stayed together, Edward taught me so many things that I didn't know before. One, Android phone. He had an Android phone, I've never seen an Android phone. He taught me to drink cappuccino, how to make groundnut soup from peanut paste, how to make vegetable part of everyday meal. and how to determine the picture qualities of a camera by the number of pixels it had. He also taught me how to buy a scale for traveling to avoid excess luggage. He taught me how to roam. Sometimes he just went out roaming and would say, "Oh, Charlie, I went through it and I found this and I found that." And we did that a lot. We drew a meal timetable together and cooked together. He was a good cook than myself, better cook than myself. Though when it comes to adding salt, he would say, "Charlie, please come and add salt. Because if I do, we will not eat this food." We washed dishes and cleaned the house together and went to return from the office. And so on and so forth. Such was the rhythm that we had in South Africa. We did everything together. I introduced him to a philosophy of one of my friends, which is that something must kill a man. So we use this philosophy to justify, our drinking habit when we went out. And we say, "Oh, Charlie, something must kill the man." And so, even when we met here in Ghana, we still said it to each other. If you see me say, "Hey, Charlie, something must kill a man." Something he did has killed the man, Edward. But I didn't know that this something will come so suddenly that I didn't have the privilege of visiting him on the sickbed. What can I say? Rest in peace, my dear friend and brother. Adieu, Edward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Bello. So we'll take a break and call on the Ghanaian dance ensemble to give us another performance. Thank you.
Hey!
dull moment in Dr. Nambigne's life. So, as we're told, Dr. Nanbigne was a wordsmith. So tonight's program will never be complete without some literary renderings from colleagues. We have two colleagues, Professor A.C. Sutherland and Dr. Cambon. Please, Dr. Cambon, if you come over and give us your literary rendering. Thank you very much.
Ago. This one is in Yoruba, so when I say ago, you say agoya. Ago. 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 Ìbà ooo lọ́jọ́ ní mojúbà kí ìbà mi kó máa ṣe. Ìbà lọ́wọ́ Olódùmarè bọ̀tún, atẹ́nilẹ́bẹ̀lẹ́bẹ̀ jẹgbẹ́jì ara. Mojúbà kí ìbà mi kó máa ṣe. Ìbà pẹ́tẹ́ ọwọ́, ìbà pẹ̀lẹ̀mẹ́sẹ̀, ìbà pẹ́tẹ̀lérísẹ̀ tí ò hurun, tí ò fi dẹ́pà ọlọ ìtàn. Ọlọ́jọ́ òní, mojúbà kí ìbà mi kó máa ṣe. Ìbà lájá tó ń tògbóró, ìbà lẹ́sìn tó ń tẹ̀kọ̀ lẹ́sẹ̀. Bí làbàlábá bá jáko, a sì júbà ẹyẹ oko. Àgbẹ̀ jáko, a sì júbà kùẹ̀kùẹ̀. Àgbẹ̀ tó jáko, tí ò júbà pẹ̀pẹ̀. Ọ̀kan àṣà wọn lójógún. Ọlọ́jọ́ òní, mojúbà kí ìbà mi kó máa ṣe. Ikú tó pa òjúbà ni pòwe mọ́ni. Aláwọ̀ á kú, oníṣègùn àrọ̀run, adáhùn ṣe òní gbélé. Ikú òkun nípa kíkanjú, ikú òjò nípa òmùwẹ̀, ikú ara ríre nípa àrẹ̀wà, màjàmásá nípa onídìjú, òwòtádà bámọ̀ ní kàdá lẹ́yìn. Gbèsè níkú, kò sẹ́ni tí kò ní pa. Ikú lolúkọ àjẹ́pẹ̀kun. Àìsàn là ń wò, àkíwò ikú. Ọ̀nà ọ̀fun, ọ̀nà ọ̀run, méjèèjì bákan náà ni wọ́n rí. Ògún pààrá, odò gbé ìyẹ́ kan lọ. Àjọ̀bí sọnù lọ́nà Ìkòròdú. A ò tún rẹ́ni bá rìn mọ́, àfinití ìta ni. Àìdé ìkú lásọ àjàmọ́rùn. Bí kò bá dé lájà àjà sílẹ̀, ájà aláàjà lọ. Ó di ọjọ́ tí alárọ̀ bá kú, ká tó mọ oyè aṣọ tó gbà rẹ̀. Òmùwẹ̀ lódò ń gbé lọ. Àìdé ìkú lámbọ̀ Ògún, àìdé ìkú lámbọ̀ òrìṣà. Bí kò bá dé, ikú ò pẹ́ bọ́. Àwọn àìkú ò sí, ẹ̀rù lásán la fi ń dábàá ara wa. Ikú ń pa aláwọ̀ ẹkùn, kálọ̀wọ̀ àgèlé tí ó ń múra. Ikú tó pa òwe ń pòwẹ̀ fún ẹ̀dùn. Ikú tóbi lọ́ba ooo. Àrà tó wù ikú ni kú ń dá. Ọjọ́ àbákú ládèrè. Èèyàn ò súnmọ̀ láàyè. Àti súnmọ̀ ẹ̀dá àṣẹyìn Olódùmarè. Tí àjìnà séjo, tí àbẹ́ lórí. Ikú tí yóò pani, àjìnà sí ni. Homage, the owner of today, I pay homage. Let my homage be acknowledged. Homage to Olodumare, who claims the right path, the one who flatly spread the map to cover the entire body. I pay homage. Let my homage be acknowledged. Homage to the palm of the hand, homage to the sole of the foot, which does not grow hair up to the lap, The owner of today, I salute. Let my homage be acknowledged. Homage to the owner of the dog and its chain. Homage to the owner of the horse and its chain. When the butterfly enters the farm, it acknowledges the birds in the forest. When the farmer enters the farm, he pays acknowledgement, quack, quack. The farmer who enters the farm without paying homage, quack, quack, gets himself hit on the shin by the hoe. The death that kills one's age mate speaks to one proverbially. The diviner will die. The medicine man will go to the skies. The one who knows magic will not remain forever on the earth. It is death related to warfare that kills the warrior. It is death associated with the river that kills the swimmer. It is the death attendant on the preening that kills the beautiful person. Wondering whether to stand and fight or run kills the easily embarrassed person. The trade that the cutlass knows is the one that makes the cutlass dull. Death is a debt. There is no one who it will not take away. Death is the last name one hears at the very last time. One treats an illness, one does not treat death. The pathway of the throat and the pathway to heaven, the skies, the two are very much alike. Death took one's kin. The river carries off one's siblings. One's blood relations disappear on the road to Ikorodu. One has no one left to keep one company, save for those intent on deceiving one. It is when death has not come calling that one ties charms around one's neck. When death comes calling, it rips the charm away and carries the wearer off. It is on the day that the one who dyes cloth that we know how many pieces of cloth she had taken in to dye. It is the expert swimmer that is carried off by the river. It is when death has not called that one sacrifices to Ogun. It is when death has not called that one sacrifices to the Orisha. When death comes calling, death does not heed sacrifices. There is no living without dying. We only scare ourselves to think otherwise. Death kills the person clothed in leopard skin. The person clothed in lizard skin had better prepare himself or herself. The death that killed the black monkey sends a proverbial message to the colobus monkey. Death is a mighty king indeed. Whatever it chooses to do, that it does. It is on the day one dies that one becomes a carving. No one is appreciated while alive. A human being's dying is not hidden from the Creator. One should stand far back from a snake that has not been beheaded. The death that would kill deserves a wide berth. May we not see death before our time, but may we honor the legacy of Dr. Nanbigne. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe.
Is that not the urgent sound of the Asafu drum signaling danger? Our brother had cheerfully said goodbye and set off for his beloved Sankana. We had wished him a safe journey and a warm family reunion. Onipa Tonsumo, Wambra, Wambra, Wambra. Surely, the search party being assembled cannot be for the shepherd boy who had navigated the plains with his cows, learning the secrets of the wild, the secrets of the abundant sustenance and healing found in the natural apparently sparse landscape that the Dagaba had chosen to settle. It cannot be for a hardened, experienced traveler who had braved the winters of Russia and Norway in search of knowledge, debated with colleagues in South Africa. Had he not roamed Ghana from Nzuma land to the land of the Nauri in search of stories? He went to Sisala country and sat at the feet of Kusasi sages in search of stories of injustice and resistance, stories of yesterdays and today's, dreams of our future. This was the son of Sankana who was teaching us all that he had learned from our illustrious academic elders and forebearers, the sheer joy and fulfillment of building the story of Ghana together. The son of Sankana, a tree firmly rooted in one spot, whose branches created a canopy which offered shade for young saplings. Birds from far and wide have found a haven among your branches. My friends, it is not only the child of my mother, whom my mother birthed, that is my sibling. Our elders say, blow out the speck from my eye. That is why antelopes walk in pairs. But what they did not tell us is what happens when one of the antelopes is snatched by cruel death. What is the solitary antelope to do? For 22 years, we were a team, flowing seamlessly as you proved your scholarly mettle from student to colleague. We stuck together and worked in the seminar model, often creating courses together and sharing the joys and woes of guiding students through our beloved fields of language, literature, and drama. And the thrill of bringing together different perspectives to the research as we try to make our contributions to knowledge. Look at the unfinished books and the collections and the anthologies and those we were still dreaming of. I will try to pick up the pieces, but today your loss must be mourned. Yay! Enopokwe! Orachi enane! Asami saminkobotio! Asami saminkobotio! Asami samipinsio! Asami saminkobotio! Nasambekwa minimibei! Nasamibeba minimibei! Okukesi eba ye! Sasabon samachi mibeyari! Yay! Enopokwe! Orachi enane! Nasemi saminkobotio! You were welcomed at birth by the visit of the royal ancestral python. You in turn brought the sacred caves of Sankana to the world. When you reach the outskirts of the city of your ancestors, boldly call out your name, for you have done your ancestors' pride. Call out your name. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Steve Sutherland and Dr. Badley Campbell. Please, another round of applause. I'm sure some of you are wondering how can these very beautiful poems go without some pito. Just rest assured that we have enough to go around at the storytelling session, which will begin very soon. Now we'll go for our last round of tributes from his friends. One from Dr. Mr. Kofi Ansah and Dr. Edwin again.
May I invite Dr. Asante to join me? We present these tributes and memories of Dr. Edward Nanbigne on behalf of fellows of the IAS and some administrative personnel. To the Emeritus Master Brewer of Coffee, a tribute by Dr. Njiba Freeworth. From the moment I walked into the IAS as a complete outsider, you made it your business to ensure that I always felt like an insider. Your welcoming spirit, exciting stories, and infectious personality is what I was first drawn to. I will never forget the stories you told in the senior common room about your martial arts trainings and your tales of your many travels. As the years passed, I realized that your greatest strength was not your martial arts training, but in your compassion, dedication, and commitment to improving humanity and one person at a time. I witnessed your commitment to ensuring that not only our students were successful, but also colleagues you collaborated with on your projects. Words cannot express how grateful I am to have known you and to have witnessed the gift that you gave so wholeheartedly to the Institute, our students, and to the world. We will miss your stories. We will miss your ability to drink all the coffee in our pots. And we will miss your commitment to our success. You live on in all of us. You live on in every student you have touched. You live on in the halls of the IAS. You live on. You live on.
Tribute to Dr. Edward Nanbigne by Mrs. Josephine Akusiakweli, IAS Academic Office. Doc, as I did call you, I find it difficult to believe you are forever gone. You were very passionate about resolving students' examination and results issues that were associated with your course, UGRC 233, our African Heritage Through Literature. You termed the last student's UGRC 233 non-appearance of result case as a dadaba situation because you mentioned that the student's father was bombarding you with several emails for her daughter's results instead of the other way around. With your usual cooperation and follow-ups to ensure results issues were addressed properly, we were able to find this particular student's results, which you successfully entered. You wondered why the students wrote the paper for UGRC 233 at a venue for a different UGRC course, which led to her missing results. Doc, this particular student came to my office, so exuberant to have me accompany her to come and say thank you to you. This hit me so hard because I had to tell her you were no more. Indeed, just within a week, you were no more. Whenever you saw me climb upstairs with my files in hand, you would quickly ask, amidst laughter, Josephine, I hope you are not coming to me again. Or when I chance on the three of you, Dr. Osman, Dr. Nidote, and yourself having lunch, you would say, Josephine, watch who will take the biggest morsel. You would often come to the academic office with your cup of coffee in hand to check if there are UGRC and other academic matters to address. These memories linger on in my mind whenever I arrive at the office. You made working life easy and flexible for us because of your affable, hilarious, and down-to-earth nature. Doc, I feel heavy-hearted and with an indescribable pain to bid you farewell. Rest well, Dr. Nanbigne.
And as the memory of Dr. Nanbigne by Dr. Irene Apieni Ado. Dr. Edward Nanbigne
was one of the first few fellows who made me feel very welcome when I first joined the Institute in January 2015. His office was right opposite mine, and he would just come and knock on my door to ask, "Why do you always stay in your office?" He would then invite me to drink some coffee. In fact, he was the person who initiated me into the coffee fraternity, and by extension, my husband. And he was fun-loving, full of stories, and a master cook. I even tasted some of his concoctions using pork, and it was delicious. When I said I had enjoyed it, he brought me several cookbooks and suggested that my daughters could try their hands on some recipes. My last closest encounter with him was when we traveled to northern Ghana in 2020 to gather data on slave resistance for the Memphis Exhibition Project. He demonstrated so much knowledge, and he led us to different sides of slave resistance. He attached seriousness to his work. Rest well, lady. May God keep you till we meet again.
Tributes in honor of Dr. Edward Nanbigne by Dr. Osman Al-Hassan. I am lost for words to describe what I understand and feel about the sudden death of my friend, colleague, and brother, Dr. Edward Nanbigne. Edward and I got here about the same time, and in the years past, we did a number of research projects together. We had very fruitful relations until his or our maker called him. I'm still reeling in confusion, trying to make sense of your demise. Truly, life is a fleeting illusion. What I do know is that the rest of us you affected will continue to push ahead with what we collectively stood and worked for at the Institute of African Studies. We may have lost you physically, but your spirit of good and hard work will live with us and will be celebrated when the opportunity arises. We pray Almighty Allah gives us the strength and wisdom to overcome the hurt we feel in our hearts, to carry on with our normal routines, which I have no doubt will remind us of your life with us. Truly, we remain inspired by your life and work at the IAS, even as we cannot hear or see you. Fare thee well, Dr. Edward Nanbigne, aka Eddie or Son of Man, and rest assured that you will live forever in our hearts and memories. May you find peaceful rest in the bosom of the good Lord till we meet again.
From and around the office of the Chief Insultant. This is from Professor Abogodo. Both on earth and there, where ancestors of oral traditions strut and fret their hours with accolades, elegies, and eulogies. To their hero, the noble heir, hero, and grand herald, the gong beater who bestrides this world and the next, with pearls of wisdom, even if refilled with beto. But that pot shall never run dry, till we meet, collide, and shake insults.
Tribute to Dr. Edward Nanbigne by Philip Owusu Asase. Badari, Patindariga are different northern Ghanaian names for the legendary Kwekwa Nancy. I learned from a storytelling session by Dr. Edward Nanbigne. I still have a colorful memory of that event and how that served as the springboard for our continual discussion about African artists and the story they could tell. I was particularly amazed how Dr. Nanbigne felt the good weight at the museum could inspire the telling of our African stories, and hence our joint paper presentation, Weighing Gold and Weighing Melodies of Proverbs in Gold Weight, at a conference. I have since known him to be a true human being, as we say in our local parlance. Dr. Nanbigne did not only wear a beautiful smile. In fact, the infectious beams of smile which lightened his face emanated from the sunshine he had in his heart to gladden others he engaged with. Oh, Dr. Eddie, how I wish I could continue to see those smiles, and for one more time, hear from your lips a story about Patin Dariga. But your work on the stage of this life has come to an end. Well done, say, fare thee well.
From Dr. Chikamba, it's hard to accept that you are gone and forever, Eddie. You are one fellow I could discuss just about anything. Always shall you be missed.
Memories of Eddie from Dr. Bessie Akufiansa. Eddie, as I called him, and I won the African Humanities Postdoc Award, AHP, in the same year, 2012. Both of us chose to do our residency at Rhodes University, Grahamstown in Eastern Cape, South Africa. When I arrived in Grahamstown, his period of residency had expired and he was returning to Ghana the following day. It was really my first time of interacting with him closely because I had just joined the IAS on transfer from the Language Center. He accompanied me to my flat, carrying my heavy suitcase to my room. He showed me a nearby shop, Pick and Pay, where I could do my groceries. He even taught me how to use the ATM machine. I chuckled to myself, but then I quickly reprimanded myself. We were quiet when he was carrying the heavy suitcases. I was very grateful. Eddie was always ready to lend a hand. At the IES car park, he would often tell me of an impending trip home, his hometown, or his arrival from home, to which I would respond, "Hey, Eddie." He was always on the move. We will surely miss you. Rest well from your labor.
From Dr. Obadele Kambon. Dr. Nanbigne was one of the first people at the institute that I met. At the time, he was the head of section and research coordinator of the language, literature, and drama section. I found that he always had an affable personality, a true lover of oral literature in his personal and professional life. He was always sharing stories that were too amazing to believe and eliciting my perennial question, is this a real story or a Nanbigne story? And an easygoing demeanor. He was someone who always went the extra mile as graduate coordinator, always going to bat for deserving students to see them through the successful completion of their course. As a trio of night watchmen who would stay at work until 11 p.m. or 12 midnight sometimes, we would speak of a project with Dr. Nidote that we never quite got around to. A literary comparison of the tale of the shipwrecked sailor, the lost fisherman of contemporary Ghana, and Song of a Goat of contemporary Nigeria. It always seemed like we would have more time and that we would get around to it. Unfortunately, it was not to be. The night watchman's flashlight has dimmed. These are just a few of the memories that I have of Dr. Nanbigne that will make him truly missed in the hallowed halls of the IAS. As a fixture at IAS for 2 decades, His presence will be felt directly or indirectly by means of the lives that he enriched and the institution upon which he had so great made an impact. Son of man, night watchman, Dr. Nanbigne, you will be missed.
Tributes by Dr. Hasiatu Abubakari. Life, they say, is a short journey, and if you have any good to do, do it now. Dr. Edward Nanbigne is an epitome of this saying as evident in the tributes that are sung since his passing. In my very early months at IAS, Dr. Nanbigne still touched my life by giving me hope to take up a project I discussed with him. He gave me all the assurances of his ever readiness to mentor me when the time comes. But as man plans, God plans far ahead. Dr. Nanbigne, your selflessness and commitment to duty will forever be missed. Rest in peace till we meet again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Messi Akufiansa and Dr. Ebedije. We now want a very short documentary on Dr. Edward Nanbigne, so please, if you are ready.
And under the Oral Traditions Project, I'm Dr. Edward Nanbigne of the Institute of African Studies. And under the Oral Traditions Project, I'm involved in two different researches. I'm involved in the collection of folk tales from all over the country, and also on a research looking at the oral narratives concerning resistance to slavery in northern Ghana. Oral narratives are a gem because they always have this essence of the truth in them. Whatever people take them and tweak for, there is always still that truth that is lying there, which cannot be thrown away. And so we cannot get rid of oral narratives. They are always there as the authentic source for people to go back to validate anything else that is being said. Oh, some 2x2 politician going debates. We are so fed up with them. 1K, anybody with a big black SUV is now somebody that needs to be given access, freedom of way to go. Yes, on our way, one day that nearly crashed some gentleman's car. And I was just sitting down watching in the mirror. He was just going to crash the car. Finally, the gentleman had to give way. And I just sat down there in my car and said, I'm not giving way. You find your way and pass. Oh, I don't give way. What is that? Oh, on the Boundary Road, a gentleman was coming facing them. So I swung my car out. Yeah. I blocked one on the listen there. Oh, me, I blocked him and then I said, gentlemen, what is the emergency that you are in the middle of the road driving against traffic? What is the emergency that you cannot join like the rest of us taxpayers? Whoever you are, whatever big man you are, it's our tax money that made you so. So join the queue. And everybody, yes, you are right, you are right. I said, but you were all giving him where to go. If we all continue giving them way to go, they will continue to do it. He joined the queue.
They are killing you. They are killing you. The devil is a liar. What do you mean? It looks more like that. You look more like that.
The song, Siambo Blending, Siambo Diapasana, Siambo Blending, Siambo Diapasana, Siambo Blending. And then you have to dance, otherwise, Python will come and wrestle with you.
Thank you very much. Clearly, the Son of Man was a very interesting person indeed. And the good Lord himself surely must be pleased with what he did on earth. We will now please rise for a moment of silence for our departed friend. Yes. Thank you very much. We're pleased with you. So we'll now move to the storytelling session, and that is where the Pito is going to be served. So you can please go for your calabashes now. The Son of Man, are you ready?
Thank you very much, Dr. Let me take this opportunity to welcome the Baobab Association members. The Baobab Association. They are supposed to do this today. And I was in members of the hockey club. Are you still around? Fantastic. Thank you very much for being here. Storytelling sessions. As we have heard, literally every presenter here. There is this constant reference to Eddie's storytelling ability. He was indeed an avid storyteller. And there are several reasons to it, a couple of which have been alluded to. First of all, very highly read, rounded scholar. There's so much to share. Secondly, his own background from Sankana. I'm told, where is the Pito? Come, please do it. Where is it? Over there, okay. So, those of you who are facing the north, if you turn right, the Pito is over there. You can go serve yourself. Thank you very much. While we tell our stories. It doesn't matter, don't worry. Sure. So, there is so much story about Sankara too. A community, thank you. So as I was saying, Ebi, the storyteller, an avid storyteller, and several reasons. His own, very widely read. Secondly, his background, having grown up on the rocks of Sankana, and rocks with caves about which there are so much stories. Thirdly, he himself will tell you that at a point he was a cowhead, a full-time cowhead, and a part-time schoolboy. And so much story again about that. So, but the thing about the Tony bit is this. Constantly he told these stories and you were compelled to look back, look into his face and ask, oh my God, is this one too true? And because of this constant reminders that some of his stories are incredible, you know. He created and perfected the art of issuing disclaimers. I mean, for this particular footage that was played, they didn't play it to the end. Otherwise, you would have come across a statement like, listen, you can take a man out of the zombos, but you can't take the zombo out of him. You know, a couple of times when you had asked him, and is this true? He said, remember, I was almost a Catholic priest. In fact, 90% priest. Something happened, 10%, and that's how I lost it. Then he will ask, look, may I be mad? Believe me to be. These are all kind of disclaimers he created, and there are so many of them, you know, so many of them to sort of show up the credibility of his stories. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have taken in so much of the high emotions. We want to lighten it up a little bit as we go. Those of you who do recall stories that our brother shared, or whether he shared or whatever, this is the time to come over. If you raise your hand, I'll call you to take us through them. We don't have much time. I think the idea was to close a little after 8, but I think we've gone past and the number of people have gone. So, but nevertheless, we must go through this. So, my friend, members of the Baobab Association, and then the hockey club in particular, you are most welcome. Who comes? Hello. No, for now, I've been endued with powers to co-opt a few people if you don't. So, hello, who comes? Stories, fond memories. So, one of his, Mr. David Quay, comes over. Thank you very much. Please welcome. Thank you very much. David.
Thank you, Dr. Nidoti. This possibly may not be a story that I'm sharing, but it's a fond memory of how I relate I related with to Dr. Nanbigne, and as I met him many years back, probably before I even started my program in African Studies. And this was when he shared with me the poem Akuswa Lua. And I'm sure some of you will have encountered this in interacting with him. So I just want to share this to his memory. And if you know it, I'm sure the last part of the whole rendition is what actually speaks to Dr. Edward Nanbigne. Akuswa Noah. They say the guinea fowl lays her treasure where only she can find it. Akuswa Noah is a guinea fowl. Go tell her, red ant upon the tree. I met Akuswa Noah this morning. I greeted. Akuswa Noah, how is your treasure? She looked me slowly up and down, and she sneered. The man is not yet here who will find it. Akuswa Noah has touched my manhood. Tell her, red ant upon the tree. If she passes this way, I am gone. I am gone to load my gun. No matter how hidden deep her treasure, by my father's coffin, I swear, I will shoot, and this is how he would do it. I will shoot my way to it this day, son of the hunter king. There is liquid fire in my gun. Thank you. And this is by Doji Draft. But Dr. Nanbigne made this to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you. So the floor is still open for people who want to share particular stories. You know, not a story person, but one of the experiences, one of the most dangerous trips, I had very little knowledge about northern part of Ghana. You know, if there was anybody who made me know northern Ghana, it was Eddie. We had many trips to funerals. One of the most dangerous ones we undertook one day was when we were returning from Dr. Osman's mother's funeral. And Eddie loved his reggae music. So from the start of the engine, the music started blaring until he turns off the ignition. So we had enjoyed our reggae all the way from Tamale. Yes. And then along the way when we got to Ejisu, just about then, we noticed that the lights were dimming. And then we noticed that our alternator was not charging. So we had, for once, Eddie had to drive without his reggae music. Just a little after then, the engine gave way because the battery was so low that it couldn't even run the engine. You could imagine. Jemima was there, Agnes was there. Somehow, we managed to get the engine started, but we were driving in the night on the Kumasi road without lights. One of the most dangerous things we did. Of course, we couldn't stop. Right in the middle of nowhere. And so, cars behind us illuminated the way for us so we could go. But cars coming in front almost blinded the master driver. And it did. It's a very good driver. And that is how we managed it all the way till we got to Boso. And in God's own way, the engine just went off. So we slept right in the middle of the road until the following day where we had to literally try to fix the alternator somehow. And by about 2 o'clock, we managed to get to Accra. We have undertaken a number of such perilous journeys. I tell you, upon hindsight, I don't think I would want to do them now. You know, I mean, to Pandai, to Yeji, to Tamale, Holden War. I recall on this particular journey, Professor Sutherland had called me and said, can you tell your brother that the 60-year mark is not just in numbers, but it makes some effect on the human body. And so these journeys, they needed to slow down. Then I told him, for me, I was also only a messenger. And he said, okay, I hear that, but let me do this last one. When I come back on the 15th. And then I wouldn't do that again. Unfortunately, he didn't come back. Unfortunately, my friend didn't get to come back. So for me, too, the one who really led me to northern part of it, all the way to Upper West. A friend, a brother, and everything. So it's a very great loss, personally. Thank you very much. If no one else is coming to share any story, then perhaps I would rather hand over to the Master of Ceremonies so that we can bring this wonderful session, this commemorative session, to a close. There is a friend here from the hockey team. It's Doctor, but I've forgotten the surname. But between the two of them, they call themselves Zato. He is here. And I don't think that this session will be. The purpose will be well said if Zato doesn't speak. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, we need to hear you, please. Thank you. Did I get Dr. Richard Baiche? Thank you. That's the doctor. Thank you.
Thank you for putting me on the spot. Eddie has been a very good friend, and along the line he became my very good brother. I remembered for the first time I went to work, I went with him. That was my first time we have traveled up north. Eddie was very adventurous. He said we would drive. I said, hey, how are we going? Fufoso Solan Road, that road was so bad. I said, okay. He said when he drives more, he will give it to me, I also drive. So I accepted. When he drives, I will also drive. So on the way, when we got to Fufoso Solan, the road was so bad that you cannot even drive second gear. So we were driving first gear. Oh, I asked my brother, is this the road to Wa? And how long is it going to take us to go there? He said, you keep quiet and drive. Oh, I was driving. And he told me, do you know this place? There are tiger and things in the forest there. So if you don't drive quickly and we go, something happens now. We will all be devoured. I say, hey, I'll drive. In fact, the journey was so horrible. Along the night, I told him I won't drive again. The lions can come and devour us. Then he said, you won't drive again. I said, I won't drive again. I said, give me my car, I'll drive. And can you imagine? He was so comfortable and driving. I was just sitting beside him and admiring him. Before we got to work, we lost 2 our tail lights because of the way the road was bumpy. The 2 tail lights all got lost on the way. So we were driving without tail lights. We got to work. Then he said, oh, no problem. We can come back again without tail lights. When we get to Accra, we'll buy tail lights. So don't worry. That is how far my brother was so brave on that road. When we got to work, I was so acquainted with the family and everybody. The mother, the father. We'll go out and go and drink pito. We planned to spend 2 days. But when we got there, we spent 1 week. Anytime we want to come back, I will tell the father, can we go out and go and drink pito? Then the father will say, yes, this man has not been coming to me. Now that he comes, he should stay. Then I'll put the car key in my pocket. Then we go. We'll be drinking pito. The father will ride bicycle. I'll take the car, we go there. Then I'll say, it's too late to drive back to Tamale and Accra, so we can't drive. Then the father will say, yes, it's too late. Then the day will pass. We are there. He didn't say, I have to come back. I have work to do. I say, your father said, we can't go back. I held him there for 1 week. We were with the parents. That was how far we were together as brothers. And I will say, Eddie, anytime my office is just down there, anytime from the office, I'll pass by his place. We have a name, we call ourselves PIC. That one I won't tell anybody. It's between me and him. Yeah, so I will not tell anybody. So he sees me, say PIC, I say PIC. Then the usual smile. The only thing that we don't do together is I don't like coffee. So when he brew his coffee, he will say, you are not inside, you don't drink coffee. I say, you as for coffee, I don't like. But we drink beer together. As for beer, I like, so we take beer together. The coffee, I don't take together with him. I travel several places with Eddie. We play hockey together. He calls me. When we are playing, it's like some telepathy. The moment I mention his name, he starts moving. When I hit the ball, he gets it, he scores. People don't understand. I say, me and Eddie, there's some telepathy between us. So they cannot understand. Anytime I'm not playing, he's not happy. Remember they said that he gets angry that people don't pass ball to him and the old men. Yes, because that time I was not playing, so he was playing alone. So he's a lone ranger. His brother was not playing, so he couldn't enjoy the game. Anytime he travels in the cold, we are together. When I'm here, I'll call him. He will call me. I quite remembered one day he was stranded in US. He was traveling to the family and he missed his flight. He couldn't do anything. You see the telepathy between us. Lo and behold, I gave him a call. I called, strange call. He picked it. He said, wow, PIC, you have saved me. Don't talk. You just keep your credit. Call my wife in US. Tell her I'm stranded. I don't have call credit to call her. But you call her for me. You have saved my life because I don't know what to do. Because she was expecting me. So I just dropped his call. I called the wife. So you can see the way that relationship was between us. Because something was telling me that my brother was in trouble somewhere. So I have to place that call to him to save the situation. He tells a lot of Toli, but me, I'm not a Toli person. So when he's saying it, I'll only be nodding my head. Then he will say, are you enjoying it? And I say, Then he realizes that I'm not enjoying the Toli. So he will stop. Because he knows I'm not a Toli person. He knows what we enjoy together. That one we enjoy it. But the other ones we don't enjoy it together. Thank you for putting me on the spot.
Thank you very much, Zato, for those interesting moments with Dr. Nanbigne. So we've now come to the end of tonight's program, and we'll first call on the family, the Nanbigne family, to give us a closing remarks that will be followed by a colleague from the Institute, Dr. Asiatu Abubakar. Thank you. I'm told that you should continue drinking. It looks like you stopped.
Thank you very much once again. On behalf of the family, we are very grateful that you invited us to join today's session. Unfortunately, most of the family members have gone ahead in preparation for the funeral. That's why we are only few here. But most of them will join tomorrow's online session to participate as well. So once again, we are very grateful. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much for having me. The Director of IES, Professor Chikata, Chair of the Commemorative Event Committee for Sutherland, the IES fraternity, families of the Nanbigne, friends, invited guests, and all people present. It is my privilege to be asked to give the vote of thanks for this. On behalf of the Commemorative Event Planning Committee and the entire IES fraternity, and on my own behalf, I would like to extend our first appreciation to God Almighty for the favor bestowed on us to at least witness this event. A big thank you to our director, Coach Chikata, ensuring that this program became a reality. In spite of all the financial constraints, she still managed to pull resources together to make it possible. Thank you, Director. We really appreciate you. To Mr. William Asari and all administrative staff of IES, we say a very big thank you for the support every minute we call you. Thank you very much. To the event committee, I say Ayiko for all the sacrifices you have made. Dr. Osman, Dr. Nidote, Dr. Kofi, Dr. Kambon, Dr. AJ, Mr. McAnthony, and above all, the chair, Professor Sutherland. You have proven beyond all reasonable doubt that Dr. Nanbigne is truly a son, a brother, a colleague. God bless you all. To Fidelia and the colleagues from the audiovisual unit, IAS National Service personnel, the Ghana Dance Ensemble, we say thank you to you all for making this event a memorable one. To the family of Dr. Nanbigne, our hearts are with you, and we say thank you for making it to this event. To the friends from the hockey fraternity, to the Careful Hall colleague, your support can never be underestimated. Thank you for showing a strong love to our colleague, brother, and mentor. The Baobab fraternity present, I say Tuma Tuma Tikusia, Winner Fire. Thank you for making it tonight. We cherish your support. Since it is impossible to mention all names, we would like to say a very big thank you to everyone here who contributed in one way or the other to make this event a success. Thank you very much. Tikusia Dedamas. Atenama Mungodi. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. You know, it's been a very long session. Initially, we planned for a 2-hour program. We ended up doing a 3-hour session. It tells you how much Eddie meant to us and what he did for several people. This is just the first in a 2-part commemoration. So tomorrow, we urge you to join us for a roundtable discussion on the theme Discourses of Continuity and Transition in Ghana. And the speakers will be Dr. Osman Al-Aslan, Dr. Samuel Teusu, Dr. Moses Nidote, and Mr. Luanga song, sorry. So thank you all for coming, and I would like to leave you with some reggae playlist. You all heard that it was a reggae lover, and those of us in the reggae fraternity compiled a playlist, and would like to leave you with that. Thank you very much. I hope to see you tomorrow.